The question of whether Christian women should wear head coverings in church has sparked considerable debate within the evangelical community. In this exploration, we delve into the teachings of 1 Corinthians 11, seeking to understand the significance of head coverings in the context of divine headships and the order of the church. Divine headships. The foundation of the discussion lies in 1 Corinthians 11 verse 3, which reads, "But I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God," where the Apostle Paul establishes the principle of headship. The divine order outlined is God-Christ-man, emphasizing authority, control, and subordination. While this concept doesn't imply inferiority, it highlights the unique roles of men and women within the divine design. 2. The uncovered man, the covered woman. In verses 4 to 5, it reads, "Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It is the same as having her head shaved." Paul addresses the issue of head coverings during prayers and prophesying. Contrary to the common assumption that the covering refers to hair, the text suggests a hat or similar item that a man can wear or remove voluntarily. The covered woman, however, is instructed to wear a head covering as a visible token of her subjection to the authority of man in the church, aligning with the principle of divine headship. 3. Head covering, not hair, but a symbol of authority. The apostle dismisses the notion that the covering is the woman's hair in verses 4 to 5. Instead, he emphasizes the need for a tangible covering distinct from her natural hair to symbolize her acceptance of the divinely appointed order. This head covering represents a woman's subordination to man, and its absence is likened to being shaven, signifying a departure from the established order. 4. Because of the angels. Paul introduces a fascinating perspective in verse 10, suggesting that the angels observe the church's gatherings. By adhering to the divine order through head coverings, Christian women manifest the manifold wisdom of God to these heavenly beings. This emphasizes the spiritual significance and broader implications of women embracing their role within the church. Praying and preaching, women's role in the church. The apostles' instructions regarding head coverings naturally lead to questions about women's participation in prayers and preaching. Paul clarifies in 1 Corinthians 14 verses 34 to 35 and 1 Timothy 2 verses 11 to 12 that women should maintain silence in the churches, refraining from speaking or teaching in the presence of men. These instructions are specific to the church gatherings, emphasizing the importance of maintaining divine order. 6. Hat or hair. Nature's parable. Some argue that the covering mentioned in verses 13 to 15 is actually the woman's long hair. However, the text suggests that the covering is additional to her natural hair, emphasizing a voluntary act that aligns with the divine order. Nature provides the woman with long hair as a covering, but the Christian woman is privileged to wear an additional covering as a symbol of her submission. Conclusion. In conclusion, the discussion on head coverings for Christian women in the church is rooted in the biblical principle of divine headships. While the issue may be perceived as trivial or culturally outdated, the underlying message is one of obedience and submission to God's established order. The Apostle Paul's teachings in 1 Corinthians 11 call for a thoughtful consideration of this practice, challenging believers to emulate the humility and obedience demonstrated by Christ, who willingly embraced a position of subordination for the glory of God and the redemption of humanity.